Hello tankers, I'm Major Hawkins and welcome to my channel. Wargaming has a lot of fantasy tanks in the game, right? And they just this week released the ground tank, which is coming out together with the Dune Part 2 collab. And honestly, it's a quite decent tank to drive, 440 alpha, and it seems like a good tank all over. I played a couple of battles in it, and it's quite fine. They have a few other fantasy, borderline fantasy tanks, especially some of the camos are kind of fantasy-like, I guess. But that is in tier 8, and so far, before the ground tank came out, they pretty much didn't release any real fantasy tanks in tier 8. And I really hope they will not do that anymore, because one tier that is filled up with fantasy tanks is tier 7, as you probably are aware of. All these weird-looking, weird-playing, borderline OP fantasy tanks makes the game difficult, especially if you're playing in tier 6 and sometimes in tier 7 also. I don't think they're that hard to manage in tier 8. I do have a couple of replays for you in two of the most OP and broken tanks in the game. I have a really short, fast game for you here in the Annihilator, which I played yesterday together with Old Man Grumpy. We were waiting for the 1 versus 1 tournament to come online, and we were having some fun in tier 7 because we were going to play tier 7 in the 1 versus 1 tournament. So usually the Annihilator will have the preferential matchmaking that you will always meet other Annihilators. This game here is a really, really fast-paced game, and you see that the enemy team doesn't have any Annihilators at all. And the two of us, we are both 60-ish% players. We are not playing that much in Annihilator. A lot of people, they're spamming it, either because it is troll, but also because it is not OP, it's broken. And the reason why I say it's broken is because the way the armor works, you can get weird bounces all over. And sometimes it makes players think that make them good, because they get all these weird bounces. And also the way the gun works. See that? He lost 800 hit points because both of us shot him at the same time. The way the gun works and the dispersion on it and the spreading between the shots, it makes that often people, they just tend to aim and center mass with the auto aim, shoot at the tank, and maybe they bounce 1 or 2 shots, but they usually always pen something. The other problem with the Annihilator is the turret armor, especially if you're in tier 6. I don't think there are very large possibility of you penning in the turret if you're in a tier 6 tank. This SU-100 could just hit me with some HE or something and splash me maybe, but he chose not to. So I was shot from the right side there, you see. So somebody's hiding in the corner there. So we had 3 tanks on this side, Old Man Grumpy and me. And with this guy hiding back here where I marked, that's the 4 tanks. So we had 4 tanks. 4 tanks on this side alone. And we were 2 Annihilators, and we just annihilated them. And that just shows how stupid this tank is. The amount of damage that it can deal out, and the way that you can just don't care. That guy was actually aiming at me, because as I said, the armor is troll, but it's troll all over. It's troll in the back, in the side, and the turret is very strong. So I understand why Wargaming, they only or usually only put these tanks in battles where you have other Annihilators, because this was just unfair. I mean, this was just a broken matchmaking, and I honestly felt sad for the opposing team. We had a little laugh, but it was kind of sad for them. I played 11 battles yesterday together with Old Man Grumpy and the Annihilator, and we won all of them. 11 battles, 100% win rate, and I died twice. It's just stupid. It's a stupid tank, I must say. The other short replay I have is from the Smasher, and that is also a very, very strong tank, but it plays very differently than the Annihilator. because you have that really long reload. You only have one shot. You have to aim your shot, but you have that potential of dealing massive damage on that one shot. If you either pin your shot or you can just splash somebody for HE, and if you actually pin your HE, you can do, I can't remember, somewhere around 1,000 damage with one shot in tier 7. And I will say this tank is more of an overpowered tank. It's not broken the same way as the Annihilator is, because you can pretty easily deal with the Smasher, because you can actually just go around it. And you see there, I shot AP and I broke his track, and that's just unlucky shot. It might as well have done 800 damage to him. Well, and you see there's a long reload, so you have to be a little bit more patient, and you cannot poke the same way. And I saw actually that the shot went through and hit the hill behind it, and you saw the dust coming up. On this map here, I have a lot of replays on mines, and it's just a coincidence. It could have been anywhere else, but this was actually my first ace game in the Smash, and I think I have around 400 battles in it in total. So it's a long battle. It's almost 7 minutes. We didn't coordinate that shot there, and actually Old Man Grumpy was complaining because he used his shot, spent his shot at the same target. He lost some hit points to it, and he also have to go back and reload for another 60 seconds. So that was a bad one on me. You see the AMX back there is kind of harassing my challenger, and I should be safe from the TDs on the hill. I should be safe from the Tiger 1 on in counter cap, because we have both Old Man Grumpy and the U2 up there. So I'm trying to focus this guy here and hope that I can get a shot into him, because otherwise he would have cleared my challenger. So back to encounter cap, and on mines I would say I don't encourage anyone to go past encounter cap as I'm doing here, but the reason we're doing it is because we have the 87, we have a spawn sniping comet, and we need to deal with those, because if we turn around and go to hill, they'll still be able to kind of deal with us. So trying to get rid of this tiger here, going for the fuel cell, didn't pin that. So now it's just me, Old Man Grumpy, and a almost dead challenger in the back. So again, I want to clear tanks, and that is the problem with the Smasher. Once you dealt out huge amounts of damage, you have a shot for every 16 seconds. And even though I could splash any one of these 3 tanks that are one-shots, I still have to wait 16 seconds to shoot again. And they can actually shoot me 2 or 3 times in the same time that it takes me to reload. So that's why I have to make use of hard cover, and I have to not poke before I'm ready to shoot. And they're just an HE shell. That's all it needs. I mean, Old Man Grumpy went up to deal with the BC-58, and I must say the BC-58 did a really good job, because he's actually in a really great position where he is right now. You saw that he killed Old Man Grumpy, and he was he just had an unlucky game, this one here, and that's probably why I ended up acing it, because usually we are, if not tie on damage, Old Man Grumpy is usually making a little bit more than me. I'm probably a little bit more passive sometimes in my gameplay than he is. But anyway, you have the challenger up there, and I don't want the challenger to poke, because then the BC will kill him, and I'll be alone against the last 3. And we know the 87 is somewhere around spawn, and he was at full health. I know I can just splash the BC-58, and I was hoping that the challenger would have held his shot, so I could get all the way up here before his shot, and that way forcing the BC not to poke at him before I was ready to shoot him. And I was spotted there. You saw he actually spotted me through that little crack there in the bunker. And I want to clear this, and I was thinking about just splashing the ground, but I want to make sure that I clear him, because I actually have the hit points to take 1 or 2 shots from each of these guys. 87 has climbed down from the spawn hill, and I was afraid that I was going around in circles with this comment here, but I was trying to get a little bit further away than 50 meters so he wouldn't proxy spot me, but I think we're still proxy spotting each other actually, and he's actually going out and poking me, and he shouldn't have done that. he did the same to me as the Challenger did to the BC, right? He poked before his teammate was there. So that was 2 of them I dealt with. The 87 is not something I want to face directly. I want to find him, and then I want to be able again to hide behind some hard cover while I'm reloading, because he has really high DPM, and the Smasher is not difficult to deal with. As I said, there are a lot of places you can pin it, and I was thinking that he was going for encounter cap because he had hit points to go down there, and he's not a fast tank by any means. So now he's there, and I need probably 3 shells to clear him. And again, I don't want to sit in front of him, so I have a lot of dead tanks here I can hide behind. And this first shot here, I don't know what happens with it. It just hit a bad place, I guess. And I popped my adrenaline already because I was actually afraid that he would just push me, but he didn't. So I can trade shots with him. I just want to make sure that I don't take any more than 1, maybe 2 shots between area and mine. So just hiding behind the corpse of Old Man Grumpy here, and that'll work. And there goes the second shell. And I think I fired heat for that one, and actually I'll change to heat again for the last one, because I needed 3 shells anyway. So not the most of damage, only around, I think it was 3,500 or something like that. But I did get a Kolobanoff because I was alone against the last 3. And also obviously won the game. So that was my first ace in that. So you see, the Smasher and the Annihilator, very different play style. And yeah, Kolobanoff and whatever, a lot of medals. And borderline OP, because again, you can do up to 1200 damage on HE if you pin them, and regular shells just around 600 for 1 shell. Yeah. OP replays and OP tanks. And I would say broken tanks also. I can't remember how many battles I have in this one here. I've never aced it yet. So 176 in regular mode. It's a fine tank. It's fun, but honestly, there are more fun tanks for me to play, I think. Annihilator is just... It's just a stupid tank. And you see so many people are spamming it, either to up their win rate, or maybe because they think it's fun. But I don't think it's that good of a tank, because if you're up against decent players, and we met them in all the other of the 11 battles we played, we met Annihilators. And they're pretty easy to deal with once you know how to deal with them, where to aim, and so on and so forth. And I think that a lot of players that are not that good at the game, not trying to offend anyone here, but they're playing it because it is so troll, and it is difficult to deal with if you don't know what you're doing, or if you don't know how to deal with it, or if you're new at the game. And that way, it makes it even stronger against newer players. That's all for me, guys. Please let me know what you think of all the fantasy tanks. What do you think of the Annihilator? Do you have it? Do you play it? What about the Smasher? Some of the other fantasy weird tanks. Some of them are obviously stronger than others. Yeah, that's it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care and have a really great day. Bye-bye.